Hello and welcome to the Counterpoint Podcast. My name's Shadi and here with Burris.
Indeed he is.
And what have you been playing this week?
I've been playing Prey and Overwatch, and I've been having a fantastic time with both of them.
Alright, I like it. How have you been enjoying Prey thus far?
I want to save a lot of this for, the Prey thing,
Right,
but I will
just
say,
high level.
I'm pretty sure I enjoyed it more than you did.
You think so?
Yeah, simply because my version of Prey is the superior version.
Okay. I've also been playing Prey, obviously. I've even been streaming Prey. Because it's been fun, and I haven't wanted to stop playing it, so
Yeah?
when I've streamed, I'm like, let's just play Prey, because I want to continue. It's a very interesting game. But along with that, I've been playing still Kingdom Hearts a little bit, and then I started playing Darksiders again because I was so excited from the Darksiders 3 announcement that I wanted to just play it again.
Yeah. I suppose that's fair enough.
Yeah. And it's been enjoyable. And I'm looking forward to Darksiders 3, but we've talked about that.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's dive
We
into
have talked at words at length.
Yeah, that's true. At length. Awkward. So, since we're talking about gaming, and a lot of my topics are games anyway, let's just dive right in. So, Assassin's Creed announced a new title, Assassin's Creed Origins. Its working title was Empire, and I have a point on that in a little bit. But first, did you play Assassin's Creed at all, or very much?
To be honest, I played the first one. Didn't really like it. I've been told some of the other ones were okay. Just not really been for me.
That's fair.
I don't like them.
The first one,
I think that's the main thing that drew me off, is the voices of the characters. They're so goddamn annoying. Hey, my name is Maurizio. I've come to
Maurizio,
put it
yeah.
in your pooper. That's how it sounds like to me. I hate it. But yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. So the first one was a pretty weak entry. It's a very repetitive game. There's not a lot going on, but it did sort of define the series, which is important.
I mean, I've watched some X's play, but again, it's not been for me.
Yeah. So if you feel you can stomach it, I think the second is worth playing, because it is.
I've heard that.
Very
I've heard
interesting.
the second, and not necessarily the third, but the one that came after the second.
Yeah, everything in
Kind of
the
the
series of the
best.
second. So 2 Revelations of Brotherhood, which are all the same character. But so before we sort of dive into this, I wanted to ask your opinion on this, because like I said, the working title was originally Assassin's Creed Empires, and it's in Egypt, but they've now changed it to Origins because it is placed 1,000 years before the first game. And some people were like, oh, Origins, they went with the very basic sort of generic title instead of Empires, which is more interesting. And I wanted to know where you landed on that.
I think the series fucking sucks.
Right, but just the
But-
title from a title perspective.
I mean, I like Empires more, but to be fully honest, Origins is not a bad title. I just think it's kind of overplayed as far as a title is concerned.
I agree, but Empires isn't like an infinitely more interesting title in any way, shape, or form. I feel.
I think so, yeah. But the thing is, like, what empire
The Egyptians.
is available? I know, like, beyond that, why call it empires if there's
Right, that's true. I assume you go to other places, but I don't know where.
I mean,
exactly.
I would consider, Assassin's Creed Empire.
Maybe it was
it's
Empire. I could be
equally-
misremembering, but
Yeah.
um,
Either way, it's quite an interesting adventure.
yeah. And to close out, I just want to say,
Finding out aliens and shit, new stuff.
yeah, this will actually be the first Assassin's Creed title that I buy since 4, because I'm hoping that they skipped a year between them this time, and I'm hoping that switching to the origin story and like the founding of the Assassins will be more of a return to form and make the game better. Which might be overly optimistic of me, but we'll see.
Anything is possible.
I agree.
But I never really thought the series was that great. I would much have rather had seen Prince of Persia actually been made into Prince of Persia.
Mm.
I was excited for Ass Creed when it first came out, but I've got to say, it's an Ubisoft title, so it has a consistent ability. Any Ubisoft game has an ability to just undermine any good a game could have.
Yeah.
And say what you will about EA, say what you will about Activision, they still make good games. They just make kind of
Terrible choices.
decisions. Yeah, no, not even necessarily terrible choices. If you're talking bottom line, I mean, they're pretty
Right,
nice
from a
choices.
business perspective, but from a consumer
Yeah, it's
perspective,
great,
they're
great,
not great choices.
great for everything. However, Ubisoft just what they do, like everything they do, is just a disaster as a company. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on from Assassin's Creed, because you didn't play it, and you don't particularly like it. I want to talk about another game that I've played a decent amount of, and that would be. I'm hesitant to call it roguelike because I'm actually still uncertain on what exactly qualifies as roguelike. So I'll say roguelite.
Is a blanket term.
I'll say roguelite
rogue-
to not piss anyone off.
No. Roguelike is just a blanket term that literally just means any game where you do things.
Sure.
Basically.
But anyway, so this game is called Risk of Rain, and the basic principle is, or I guess I should say, it's a 2D kind of platformer. You jump off of platforms to higher ground, but basically you're shooting these monsters and killing them and buying items and getting more powerful so you can fight stronger monsters. But the thing is, along with picking difficulty, the longer you take, the more difficult the game gets, and that's what the Risk of Rain title is, kind of. It's like the downpour gets stronger of enemies. At least that's the impression I got. And so it was fun to play it because the longer you took, the harder it got, and your chance of survival was lessened, as well as the further you go.
What is that space game that it's also a roguelike?
Risk of Rain, Faster Than Light? They're talking about FTL?
Yeah, FTL.
Yeah. So it's the same sort of thing. The longer you take, the more that shit comes up behind you. Yeah, same sort of deal. So it was really fun, and it's very stylized, pixel sort of art, and very cool.
How do I eat? Oh no.
And they have announced a second Risk of Rain, but it's now gone 3D, which to me is very odd. So it hasn't entirely lost the art style, but the sort of stylized pixel sort of thing it had going on, to me was very, sort of an icon of the game, and with 3D, a certain amount of that is going to be lost. So I thought it was interesting that they chose to do that.
I don't know. I think if you can convert over in a kind of like sensible way, it's not so bad. But so many times it's just like Diablo 3, it just destroyed the art style of the original.
Yeah.
It was a total disaster if you ask me.
It was pretty bad.
Like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people who still enjoy Diablo 3, and I'm sure those people are very happy with their purchase, but let's be real here. The art style is fucking trash.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still going to give Risk of Rain 2 a shot, because I believe in rewarding good titles.
Yeah.
But I'm not entirely hopeful, I would say. I think 3D will lose some of its innate charm, I think.
How do I attack as a dinosaur?
You left click, I believe.
Doesn't work for me.
That's what I was doing. I guess it depends on which kind of
I'm
dino you are.
Slightly bigger, but not the biggest dinosaur.
Okay, can I switch teams? Because you guys are kind of...
I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing, I'll be honest.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, so I'm hoping the game's still good. Because I would love it to be good. But I'm cautious, I would say. So more gaming news. I think, actually, pretty much everything I have is gaming news. Call of Duty, which is a sore subject amongst many people who play games, has announced that they will be making a Zombies Chronicles DLC pack for Black Ops 3. And part of what is interesting about this is that um, they've never done this before. They've never made a DLC for a game that wasn't the active title.
Yeah,
Which
it's a
Black
very
Ops
odd
3
choice.
hasn't been the active title for a while, even. And so, that's interesting in and of itself. But also what they're doing is, and probably just in preparation of World War II, which is the new Call of Duty title coming out, which we can talk about after this, they are releasing this Zombies Chronicles, which is a remake of 8 of the Zombies maps that they've deemed story relevant, because I don't know if you played Zombies, but it does have an overarching story. And they're releasing them so people can play them on Black Ops 3 and get basically the full collection of story relevant games. Or maps, sorry.
I think the choice, if you look back, and I'm not sure here, but this is my guess as to why they're doing this. If you look back, who plays, like, what is still being played and who plays the most of any Call of Duty game, I'm wondering if Black Ops 3 is the most popular title. And so what they're doing is releasing DLC on the most popular title.
So I wouldn't be that surprised because, you know, it does have zombies, which has always been a driving force I've felt behind Call of Duty sales. Not that the other ones didn't, you know, stand on their own merits in the beginning,
always
but...
not like all of them.
What's up?
Weren't they all Nazi zombies, like kind of from the beginning?
Yeah, they're Nazi zombies. But every game didn't have it, just the Treyarch games did. Oh god. These dinos are coming. But yeah, so I will probably get that DLC pack if I'm totally honest. Because I do own Black Ops 3 and I do really enjoy zombies.
But yeah, exactly. And I think what they did is they took into consideration, hey, this is who the majority of people, what they have. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So bearing in mind that these map packs, which came with, I believe, usually 4 multiplayer maps and 1 zombies map, I believe each one was $15. What do you think is a fair price for 8 remastered zombies maps?
Honestly, I wouldn't pay more than $5, but I don't play Call of Duty.
Right, but I mean, giving those price points, what do you think is a fair comparative price point?
I don't know. They already exist. I'm sure they're remakes. They're not full remakes. They're more like remasters. You know.
They are adding guns that were on the maps that aren't in those games, I believe.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess $20.
Right. I think I would pay $20. I think any more than that, I'd be like, probably not actually.
I don't know. You'd probably do 30, you bastard.
I
But,
mean,
you know,
maybe. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's unfair.
But I think if they are trying to create buzz for the newest title and trying to make goodwill, I think $20 is the way to go. Maybe even 15.
I'm thinking it'll be 20 because 15 seems a bit light given how many maps were in them historically compared to how many are in them.
You're not wrong, but here's the thing. They're trying to change their image right now. They realize, you know, sales are lower and they have been.
No, sales still, or
No.
Call of Duty still top sells.
Of course it does, but does it sell as well?
Probably not.
And they could easily, just by getting a little more goodwill, increase profits dramatically.
Probably, yeah.
In the future. So I don't see why you wouldn't do that.
Yeah, that's fair. So we might as well touch on World War II since we were talking about Call of Duty anyway.
Okay. Can we make a bet, like a bet? I don't know which side of the bet you're going to be on, but I'm going to say they're going to have experimental weapons that are basically just like weapons from the 60s. As to, you know, not have World War II only weapons. You know, they're going to have like random weapons like, whoa, look, this totally existed during World War II. You know?
I can see that. I don't know that they've always been 100% accurate. I mean, I know, so I played a lot of World at War, and I know a lot of those weapons are from the World War II era. But I mean, I can't guarantee that there was entirely accurate depictions of the weaponry during World War II. So I could see that, I guess is what I'm trying to say, in a long-winded fashion.
Yeah.
But one thing that's interesting about this title is World at War showed both scenes of the war.
Yeah.
This one will be following one American soldier for the entirety of the campaign.
Yeah, that's not cool.
And that seems odd to me.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, right? If they can find, hey, look, 90% of our target audience is in fact nothing but, Americans, then I would say go for it. But something tells me that's not really the case, and that they're kind of like missing their mark.
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe there's a pretty big demographic of people who might want to play your games outside of the United States.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Missing out. So I don't like that. I mean, think about it. This is the perfect time to make like an interesting story again in Call of Duty. So what I was thinking would be really cool, right, is have a German soldier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have a German soldier who, doesn't necessarily want to be in the German army.
Right. So I did see some discussion of this online. That's a risky choice, I think. Even if you have him, like, he wants to defect and all that, you're still showing that side of the war to some degree.
So,
I get it happened, like, don't ignore that it happened, but there would be a certain side of people, I would say, that would be like, you're trying to make this German sympathetic because he didn't want to commit atrocities, but, like, to do that, you probably have to have him around the atrocities, or committing the atrocities even, before he realizes that.
Yeah, so.
I'm just saying people might
all
be
war is atrocities. Like, all war
for
is
sure.
an atrocity. So, I mean, fuck it. I would have him be, like, totally against... This would be my perfect, like, story for this game, right? Maybe have him commit atrocities. Maybe even have him be like a fucking labor camp person. Like, go over the top with it, right?
Yeah.
And then at some point, he is saved by maybe an allied force or someone who is a Jew.
Mm.
And it totally flips, like, oh my god, maybe I was wrong,
Yeah.
Or maybe he has to partner with someone who is Jewish to do something. I mean, there's so many ways you could do it that would be like, oh, look, this is different and fun, and actually, like, it seems like our the people who make this game actually care about story a little bit, but no, it's not gonna happen.
So I mean, I would play
anymore.
But they would never.
It's like a Tim Burton or not Tim Burton, sorry. Who makes Transformers?
Michael Bay.
Yeah, Michael Bay movie, like, again and again and again. And that's all Michael Bay does, which is just make Michael Bay movies again and again and again. So, fuck that. Do something a little different. Make it something heartfelt, I think is the way to go.
Mm.
And then, again, start to get some good... But anyway, they're just doing the American soldier thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll be kidnapped by the Nazis at some point. Yep, that sounds like what'll happen.
So I will say, I probably will get this game. I don't like that necessarily that I'll get this game, but I probably will. Just because I grew up, playing the World War II games. Loved them.
Yeah.
And I really like zombies in the games, so I'll probably get it.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been like that big of a fan, honestly, of Call of Duty and just in general.
Mm.
But I played the first Modern Warfare. I played 3, and I liked both of those games a lot. But neither of those was made by Treyarch. Call of Duty 3.
Mm.
But anyway, I played both of those, and I enjoyed. Neither of them were made by Treyarch, but I did play World at War, and I did love World at War.
World at War was, like, probably my favorite.
Yeah, overall, I mean, it had the best multiplayer, and it had arguably the best story. I mean, some people will say Modern Warfare was better. That's fine. I mean, it's between those two when it comes down to it.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you play a lot of World War II games growing up?
particularly, other than no, no.
Yeah. So like
Trying to
one of the
remember here.
moments that sticks out for me, and a lot of people have mentioned this before, but on PS2, storming the beaches on D-Day in Medal of Honor Frontline
I think I did play that first mission.
was
I don't know.
fantastic.
What was one of the other games that came out later where I stormed the beach? Was that World of War again?
I don't remember if you stormed the beach in World. You probably did, but I don't remember that happening.
I don't know.
Medal
I
of
know
Honor
at first
Frontline.
you go to Japan.
Yeah. And then there's the wonderful sniper scene with Viktor Reznov crawling in the fountain with all the bodies and all that jazz. It's a really good game.
It was okay, yeah.
I mean, story-wise.
Yeah. Pretty good.
Anyway, that's all I had to say about Call of Duty.
Call of Duty, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Another bit
mean,
of...
again, I think really quick, I just want to say Call of Duty kind of fell victim to kind of its own trap. Which is, I think, once a game gets big enough, it kind of produces
memes.
like a following
Yeah.
and then memes. Yeah. So similar to Kingdom Hearts, how people are like, "Oh my God, you're such a nerd. You play Kingdom Hearts all the time." It's the same thing, except for Call of Duty. I felt like it was like, "Oh my God, you're such a loser. You play Call of Duty all the time.
Yeah.
All you do is get high and play Call of Duty." That's the meme, right?
Cool. Yeah, no, I can see it. But anyway, the next bit of gaming news is that BioWare Montreal, which is the studio that created Mass Effect Andromeda, is moving some employees to EA Motive, which is the studio that is creating Battlefront 2.
No, I have some questions real quick.
Sure.
EA Motive, is this just another name for DICE?
Well, it's all owned by EA.
Yeah, but like, isn't this a DICE studio game, Battlefront 2, or what?
I'm not exactly clear. I'm pretty sure it was Battlefront 2. I mean, maybe I'm wrong on that, but I'm like 90% sure they were working on Battlefront 2.
I don't know. Maybe. But either way, it's interesting. Now, one thing I gotta say is, was this kind of like a like decision that was made kind of by the people like who work, the employees, or was this like, no, you're moving, fuck you?
I think it was just
Or
kind
did
of
they all kind of?
you guys are done here. We need all hands on deck to work on the next game.
I mean, that's pretty standard. Usually what they do is they work from without, from outside of the company.
Yeah.
Not necessarily outside of that one, but it's game development, so you don't necessarily have to be in the same room depending on what they need, especially if it's like textures or
Yeah,
animations.
and
or
both
things
companies
like
are
that.
in Montreal, so it's not
However-
like they moved the employees.
Yeah, they didn't actually like leave
No,
where they live.
Yeah, they're still
Which is
there.
nice. I don't know. I mean, it happens a lot, and it's a thing that happens, especially in the gaming world, because there are parts of a game development cycle where you just you only need really 3 people, getting the ideas, choosing the engine, etc. The simple shit before you move into the oh fuck section, which is animations,
Which was a strong
character
selling point
design,
in Andromeda.
yeah, which I mean, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm about to play. You didn't get to finish it or anything, right? That was someone else.
I did not finish it. No.
I got about halfway through before I heard about the patch 1.05 being released and how they were going to continue to patch it
Yeah.
to fix various issues. And I
Right.
immediately lost interest in playing it immediately. Because at that point, I didn't feel slighted, but I did feel like, oh, great, I played the beta this long. I'm going to drop this. I'll come back to it like in patch 1.10 or something by the end of the year.
Right. And that's what a lot of people are
currently-
saying.
Yeah. Currently, I have a lot of backlog.
Yes.
And I don't know, I feel like what they're doing right now is it's interesting from a perspective of you can now sell DLC more efficiently.
What do you
So
mean?
maybe before, when someone finishes a game, they have no interest in DLC, right?
Like you?
So now, you know, if I'm not finished with my game, I might be more inclined to purchase DLC.
Right.
Gotcha. You didn't see me, and I just memed you.
No, it's trying to shoot.
Gotcha. But anyway, yeah, I feel like people will be more inclined to actually purchase DLC now that they're not finished with their games. And I think this is a big problem with BioWare's entire stance. I think if they're going to release something, it should just be a flat-out expansion. I don't care if the main character is different, etc. I think that DLC for RPGs is just an entire missed opportunity in general. I think it's a terrible idea in general.
So, but to you, what is the difference between an expansion and a DLC?
An expansion is something that is wholly itself, right? So to me, right,
I
an
agree,
expansion
by
is
the way.
something that I can play 6 hours of or more, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like. Don't get me wrong, like DLC. There are some DLC quotes that I think really are more expansion-y than others.
Mhm.
I feel like if you're playing 6 or more hours of a game, and you didn't have to play any of the main content whatsoever, then it should be considered an expansion.
So, Shivering Isles in Oblivion, you would consider an expansion?
Yeah, I mean it's an expansion.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just trying to get a feel for where you land on this. What about Knights of the Nine in Oblivion?
I mean it's an add-on.
Mm.
It's a good add-on, but I don't think it's an expansion.
I would agree, since it's just one singular quest. It's not really, I mean, not one quest literally, but it is one arc. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I mean it's interesting when they can add in like some extra things going on or something, but again, when you've already played through the game, do you really want to sit there and just fucking redo a game like entirely? Because it's not something I want to do. I feel like I have to go back, etc. And I mean, a couple games have tried some different techniques, like Final Fantasy 15 has the whole like go back in time and reread books and shit.
Yeah.
I'm still not interested in it. Not even remotely interested in that type of system. I don't think RPGs and DLC really go together very well.
Okay.
It's one thing to offer DLC like up front if it's like skins, etc.
I can't get
again,
to this guy.
But I don't think.
But yeah, I mean, I get it. But you have a particular anti-DLC sort of stance.
I guess that's true. I mean, I don't like most DLCs.
Right.
Say that. Like, I think skin DLCs are fine.
Mm.
I think most story DLCs that add like a quest or two, or like a hey, do this and we reward you with this bullshit. I hate it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like a small mod can give me more of a sense of satisfaction than like a $10 DLC in a lot of games.
Right.
And I think that's kind of pathetic to get to that level.
But I mean, really, what is a DLC other than just like an officially licensed mod? Asshole. How accurate do I have to be with my mouse to kill people?
Pretty accurate. It's actually ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything else to say about DLC in general or that moving of people. Just wanted to see how you felt on all of it. Oh god, how do I fly?
Yeah. I have a lot of feels.
Fair enough. So you wanted to talk about an NVIDIA release, I believe.
Yeah, this one's really odd. It's definitely big. They unveiled their GV100 architecture, which is I forget. I believe it's called the Tesla P100
Okay.
release. And the interesting thing here is it's on 12 nanometer process, which if you know anything about current processes, currently NVIDIA is on 16 nanometer. Now this doesn't mean like it scales perfectly, so 16, 12, that doesn't mean all of a sudden you're going to get, you know, like 30% more performance or whatever. It's less than that, but the more interesting thing about this design is the fact that it is so fucking massive. So to put this into perspective, your 1070 is a 300 and I believe it's somewhere in the 300 millimeter range of size as far as a chip, a silicon chip. But the GV100, which stands for like GeForce Volta, is fucking massive and stands at 800. Now, if that doesn't seem like a lot, the GP100, which was the previous flagship, not GP100, by the way, is not the Titan X. It's the model above that. So the GP100, I believe, was selling for, I want to say, somewhere in the 10,000 range, 20,000 range, and was only available to like dedicated like graphics professionals who were working on things like maybe Avatar 2, etc. Now, the GV100 starts out around $60,000. Now, this is interesting because I was actually watching a YouTuber who does a lot of tech kind of work, and an 800 millimeter square die is actually right around the limits of what is actually possible. And this one, I believe, is 830 millimeter square. That's the biggest chip ever manufactured for anything. CPU, GPU, literally anything. Even on like super research heavy stuff, this is the biggest ever, like in supercomputers, etc. So when I saw that the price was going to be literally 60,000 per chip, I wasn't necessarily that taken aback because, yeah, I mean that's literally how much they'd need to sell it, because per die. I mean, here's the thing. Do you know what a silicon wafer is?
No.
So a silicon wafer is what they cut into the chip later. So it's usually they put, you know, hundreds, if not thousands, for smaller chips on one wafer. So then they can cut out those chips and, you know, put them on a circuit board and sell them for a lot of money.
Right.
So a wafer usually costs $50,000 to $70,000 to make. Now, if there's any imperfection whatsoever in their design, right? Literally any imperfection at all, they can't use that chip or they have to cut it down.
Right.
So this is literally an 830 almost perfect chip. I think they have like one block disabled, which, you know, it goes from like 5,300 cores to like 5,200 or something. Very, you know, a very small cut.
Right.
But the yields on these chips have to be like one per wafer. And that makes sense considering they're selling these chips for the price of an entire wafer.
Right.
Because that's probably as much as they can put on one chip. Now, I don't, you know, this architecture that is currently being used will never be in a, it will never ever be in the home market. It will never be in a desktop graphics card ever. No, it literally won't, because it uses cores that are specifically made for compute, and NVIDIA is very, very, very against putting any compute engines, or not necessarily any compute engines, but these more compute-heavy engines in their desktop graphics card market. So basically, they're for a different design. They're not necessarily for just gaming, obviously. Otherwise, that'd be fucking stupid to pay $60,000 for. But
next year.
you might as, you know, that'd be most of your budget, but you could do it. So the interesting thing is this comes 6 days before the launch of the RX Vega, or not necessarily the launch, but the announcement of the RX Vega. So people have speculated that, you know, Vega will come out this time. It's been forever. AMD, I'm not saying, oh, I feel bad, you know, for AMD, because they took their sweet ass time.
Mm-hmm.
to do this. Like, very, very long time.
Yeah.
Pretty ridiculous. To release their 500 millimeter design, which is pretty big in and of itself. It's around the same size as the Titan XP, which is a $1,200 graphics card from NVIDIA. Now, we have no idea whether it will compete with Titan XP or just a 1080. We're still waiting on that.
Mm-hmm.
However, they basically took the opportunity, NVIDIA took the opportunity to announce their high-end workstation GPU and to act like this is what's going to be coming very soon from NVIDIA. And the fact is, 12 nanometer process isn't out yet. Neither is a lot of the things that they, this chip will probably not come out until late 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So end of Q3, end of Q4, like minimum when this comes out. Now, they're making it seem like this is the technology we're going to have in our desktop market. And what I'm speculating is the 2080 or 3080 or the 1180, whatever they end up calling their next generation graphics chip, is really only going to be around 20% faster when you factor everything in, on average,
Mm-hmm.
than what is currently available. So it almost is like they're taking advantage of their of some people who don't know that much about computers to say, like, hey, we have the fastest architecture ever.
Right.
And then they went on to say something interesting, which is, we don't think AMD competes with us anymore. Which, as an AMD fan, I'm like, what? This don't make any sense. I personally disagree with the statement because, if you have any market segment that is competing with your product, right?
Uh-huh.
Any market segment at all competing with then you guess what? You compete with them.
Right.
So I think depending on what happens in a week will define like the next 2 years in graphics chips altogether and computers, because if Vega only gets as fast as a 1080, which in my personal opinion, if Vega, which is a 500 millimeter square design, is as fast as a 1080, which is 300 and something, then AMD is just their graphics department right now is just screwed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to mean NVIDIA is going to jack up their prices, like entirely jack up the hell up their prices. So the 2080 will probably cost $800, and it will probably be based on a smaller die size because there won't be any competition from AMD, which I'm hoping was just said like, as like, I don't see them as competition,
Right.
instead of like, no, they're literally not competition anymore, because that's really bad for the market as a whole. When you have no competitor to any market segment, it's not good. And we've already seen it with the 1070 and the 1080 being $450 and $650 to buy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, there have been sales, but MSRPs were actually closer to 700 and 500, which is just crazy for a 300 millimeter die size chip. I mean, last generation with 28 nanometer, these things were like $200. So it's really insane.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's all I have to say on that.
Fair enough.
Now, you had something a little more personnel.
Yeah, I had basically a time killer topic. So
All right, let's do it.
the discussion came up of if you... So we've discussed this before, that if your consciousness was transferred to a robot body, you would feel that you had died, correct?
Yeah, for sure.
Right. I don't know how I just killed you, but I flew into the floor.
You took me. Someone else did it to me. They drowned me underwater, which is what happened. Apparently, you are a space creature who can go under the floor and just easily kill people.
I don't try my best.
Anyway.
But
Anyway, go on.
so yeah, so you would feel that you had died.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you feel the same way if your brain was transplanted into this robotic form?
No, not at all. I feel like I would still be alive.
Okay. So the nature of this conversation was really the soul versus consciousness. Do you believe in a soul, or do you believe it's just consciousness?
I don't believe in any soul whatsoever. I think
You think
if you
consciousness
think there
is
is
who
a
you are?
soul, consciousness is the physical makeup of your brain and what that entails. So, if you're kinder, if you're a more kind person, you may have a kinder, a bigger kindness part of the brain.
Right.
I'm not smart enough to say, yeah, it's definitely this part of the brain, but that's my personal belief that if you're a more kind person, it's because you have a kinder part of your brain. If you're more of an asshole, it's probably because your frontal cortex isn't fully developed,
Mm.
etc. So my frontal cortex isn't fully developed. Either is yours. I mean, anyone who is under the age of 26 has an underdeveloped frontal cortex.
Right.
So yeah. Anyway, yeah.
And I largely agree with you on this point. So Alaric and I were having this debate of the soul. And so you and I have disagreed on this topic for a while now. Because you said you feel that you have died, and I feel it doesn't matter because there's still, even if I'm no longer the active party in my mind, there's still a me going around making decisions. So effectively I live. Like I live on. If that makes sense.
I suppose you can say you lived,
Right.
but the fact remains the physical parts that make up your existence are no longer there, so it would essentially be an emulated existence.
Kind of, but I'm assuming that new me would have a consciousness. It was just, I'm not the active thread anymore. If that makes sense.
To think of it, I would think of it like this. No, it's not even a really good way to think of it. Basically, your consciousness, no matter what, is your own physical brain.
Mm-hmm.
So to have your own physical brain destroyed and replaced with a robot brain is in essence, to me, as if you destroyed what is yours.
So, but if the program, or whatever, mimics the firing of the synapses in the brain, why is that different?
Because you would have a replacement rather than the original, even if it mimics it. And I don't necessarily believe we're at the part of the, like an apex of technology where we can do this. Now, I know I've spoken to some very smart people who believe in the idea that we are already an emulated version of the reality that actually exists.
Right.
Which I think is interesting. But either way, the me that exists now is the me that continues to want to exist into the future.
Sure.
At least the physical embodiment of myself. This is why people are so scared of death, regardless of whether they admit it or not. They don't know what happens. And the people who aren't scared of death, frankly, I think of as simpletons.
I mean, that's a little rude.
I think so, because
I'm genuinely
we have no
not afraid of
idea.
death.
I mean, that's fine. But I would consider you a simpleton, in that matter.
But why?
Because you don't understand the value of your own existence.
But why does that matter? That even if I thought of my existence as valuable, why do I have to be afraid of death?
What do you mean?
I eventually have to die.
There's a difference. Like, it's not a fear. Like, oh my god, that can never happen. But it's like, I'd rather not die.
I mean, I'd rather not die, but I'm not like, I'm okay whenever it
You're
happens.
kind of on the edge sometimes.
Well, I'm okay whenever it happens.
Yeah, but again, it comes down to, I think, again, like you've heard the whole the teleporter meme before. I'm guessing.
Like the bit from the Prestige. Is that what you're talking about?
No. The teleporter meme, like, all right, when you're teleported, the real you is killed.
Yeah,
and
Prestige
for
is
a
the same thing,
replacement.
and Star Trek
somewhere
does
else.
it as well.
Like Star Trek, yeah, Star Trek.
Yeah, both do it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
So the
about.
real you is actually killed. It's just a copy of you.
But I'm okay with that.
See, I'm not.
See, because the thing is, I'll never know, and the copy will never know, so effectively it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but if you can just easily copy, then why not just make a copy and leave me here?
Because why would I want two me's?
Maybe 2 years is all you ever need. Now neither of you will be virgins.
I don't follow.
Never seen that meme?
No.
Never seen that comic?
No.
It's Dr. Robotnik, and there's two it's a Dr. Robotnik who clones himself, and they both look at each other and at the same time say, "Now neither of us will be virgins."
I see.
So they would have sex with each other.
Yeah, no, I got that. It picked up on that.
It's a pretty good meme.
It's pretty subtle,
It's
but
a solid,
I got it.
solid A+ meme. Thank you.
I don't know. To me, it's not different, though. So the root of this discussion, or I should say where it spawned from, was the game Soma, which I don't know if you played it.
No, haven't played Soma.
So, spoilers for Soma.
No.
You're in a robo
Pretty sure.
body. And
Yeah,
so,
okay.
like, you have to go through water at some point, I think, and you have to go into, like, a waterproof suit. And in order to do that, you have to clone your consciousness and put it into that new suit, and so it can go through. And it's basically like it's a 50-50 shot whether you stay in this body or you're transferred to that body, but either way there's now two of you.
Yeah.
And so, you know, my roommate's like, man, it really sucks to be the one that stays. And I'm just like, well, it doesn't matter. And I don't know if that makes sense to you, but...
I mean, as long as you stay in one place, I mean, you're still living.
Right, but effectively you were trapped and you could never escape if you were the one that stayed.
Yeah.
And in fact, in the
I
end of the
mean-
game, so this is a rather large spoiler for anyone that is watching, there's like this Ark ship that had like all the memories and consciousness of humanity, and then you like have to transfer yourself onto it. And it's like 50-50 shot, you either stay or you go. If you stay, you're trapped forever, and if you go, you get on the Ark and you go with the rest of humanity. And ultimately, like, you have to stay, you don't actually ever succeed, but I was like, it doesn't matter, either way, I endure.
I don't know. Is a copy really 100% a copy every time?
Yeah, in this it is 100% copy. It is you. They act the way you would act. They have your memories. They think how you would think, etc., etc.
I think in any rate, that would, if I had that option, it would be the absolute last resort option.
What do you mean?
It would be an absolute last resort option. Like, I wouldn't do that unless it was, again, the only option I had.
Oh, you wouldn't transfer. You wouldn't risk the 50-50. Is that what you're saying?
Well, if the other 50 is literally I'm gonna die, if it's you're gonna stay, then I'd be like, ah, fuck it, let's do
Well,
it.
you stay, but you're trapped. You know, you're just in your robo body forever in this place where no one else is.
Yeah, I'd be like, ah, fuck. I'd probably find something fun to do. Shit.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm okay with it, and I guess that makes me weird.
I'm okay with solitude. No, I'm okay with solitude. I'm not okay with not existing. Does that make sense?
I mean, this has been a point with you for a while, so I very much understand where you're coming from, and I could predict your response before you said it.
Yeah.
I get it. I guess I'm just more okay with not existing than most people.
I'm going for
Oh.
supplies.
Because you're high on drugs.
I'm not, actually.
Alcohol is a drug.
I'm not drunk, though.
You will be.
I will be not tonight.
All right, I've got a question. How do I latch on to people with this dinosaur body I'm in?
What dino are you?
I am the flying dino.
You need to hold F, and that's how you take your
Huh,
talons
okay.
to go grab people. Or no, sorry, F is roar, it's right click. And roar will
didn't
identify
work.
enemies for you. You can only roar every so often.
Interesting.
Stop trying to grab me, dick.
I don't even know who you are.
Go back the fuck up. The dude blasting your ass with the shotgun. Don't act like you don't know.
I still don't know who you are.
The dude who just murdered you.
Who's that?
But anyway. I don't really have any other topics.
Yeah, I think that's about it for this time.
Are we gonna end it a little early?
Yeah, sure, why not?
We're gonna
I
deprive
think,
them 10 more minutes of podcast.
Hold up.
I suppose if you had to bring up any random topic, we could probably do that.
That's a difficult one.
Yeah.
You can't just put me on the spot like
We
this.
could talk about GameCube.
I mean, I guess we can talk about GameCube. What do you want to talk about GameCube?
Let's talk about the physical attributes of a cube and whether a GameCube is in fact a cube.
I think the GameCube is very ugly.
Yeah?
Yes.
But does it fulfill a cube stance?
I think it is close enough that I would not deprive it of its cube status. Why do you feel it is a cube?
I don't feel like it's a cube because the very top of it kind of has like a bulbous external shape.
Sure, sure.
What's that word? Not external, but
Concave?
word I'm like
Convex,
concave.
sorry.
Yeah, no, convex. Yeah, convex. Exactly.
Sure, sure. I think we should give it its cube status. Will you let me go, please? Thank you.
Did I kill you?
No, you did not.
Oh.
I, however, will
trying to
murder you.
Down.
Get out of here. You're not welcome. I feel like a lot of consoles are very ugly.
Yeah, yeah. The original Xbox is disgustingly
It
ugly,
is
but I will say that it
horrendous.
is very nice for what it is.
Sure, sure. I think
However, I would also like to state, what do you think has more power at the end of the day? Do you think it's the GameCube, or do you think it's the Xbox?
probably the Xbox.
I don't know. I thought that initially too, but I think the graphics processor on the GameCube is more powerful.
Do you?
Yeah. I mean, there were some games, specifically the Star Wars games, where it just looked beautiful. But what I think is even more interesting about the GameCube is the fact that it literally just got ported over and turned into the Wii. Like, the clocks were made, like, maybe, like, a little bit higher. And it's like, this is actually the Wii.
You know what I want to know? What is the physically best looking console? Not the games on it, but the console.
I think, let's see. Physically, I think the PS4 is a strong contender, to be honest.
I would agree.
Even the Xbox One looks, X1S looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
The newer ones obviously are going to look better in a lot of ways. But I think if you're talking just a traditional console, I got to give it to the Dreamcast.
The what?
The Dreamcast. I think it's just a really sexy.
How did I know you were gonna fucking say it? It's always the Dreamcast with you.
I think it looks really nice.
It doesn't
as far
matter,
as
like, what I asked. I'd be like, what console would you want to beat someone to death with? You'd be like, probably the Dreamcast. It held a special place
No,
in my
I
heart.
would definitely want the Xbox. I mean, that's obvious. The original Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's always the Dreamcast with you, though. Like,
No, I think it just looks really nice.
you think a lot of really good things about the Dreamcast.
Yeah, it's a really nice piece of equipment, especially when you realize the time in which it came out.
I mean, it's fine. I just never got the hype that you had. And you tried to, like, buy me into the hype, and I just couldn't do it.
I didn't buy you into the hype. I don't think I ever brought my Dreamcast over because I was like,
No, I played it at your house.
I'm not doing it. It's possible.
I mean, it's definite. I definitely played it at your house.
I loved it, man. It
Played
was
some
awesome.
fucking weird fish game.
When was this though? Like
It was
2008?
years ago.
2008?
I honestly could not tell you. It was not when it came out. It is when you were, like, starting to get back into it.
Yeah. So, you really, I think you know, as with most consoles, you had to be kind of there to experience what it is.
That's not true. I wasn't there for
What
the
it do.
N64.
You were. In a lot of
No,
ways.
no, no. I got it way later.
Yeah, but you played on one because I brought it over a couple times.
No, I never played yours. The only experience I had with the N64 was playing, or not even playing, watching John Anderson, who was the brother of my babysitter and a family friend, play Ocarina of Time in his living room for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, but you were probably like, wow.
I mean, kind of, but it was like the middle of the game, so I didn't actually understand anything.
Yeah, I had the same experience with the Ocarina of Time where I'm like, whoa, I remember this. But then, like, I never actually played it
Mm.
as a kid. It's just not a game that my brother wanted, and I wanted Quest 64 for some reason. So. But that's, you know.
I don't know. I was late to the N64. I was late to the GameCube even.
Even the PS1 if you want to get really down and dirty.
I mean, kind of. I was as early as I could have been on that one.
Yeah, as far as your age, but when it come down to it, the PS1 launched, what, 95?
Yeah, probably.
And what was, the N64 was, what, 96 or 97? I don't remember.
96, I
which.
believe. But I was as early as I could be for the PS1, and I think that counts. I don't know. We hit the wrapping up point roughly, so I think we're
But
good to.
if I was going to beat someone to death, it would either be the Xbox or the N64.
Yeah, so I would go with the N64, just because it's not so bulky that it'd be uncomfortable
Well,
to beat someone
yeah,
with it.
the thing that
but
makes
it's
it, or the GameCube,
strong.
to be honest, the GameCube is also a really strong contender because
Yeah,
of
those
the
points.
strap. But my worry is with the GameCube is that the strap would actually break, the thing that holds the cube together.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
the
probably.
thing that you'd obviously hold. The Xbox would be a two-handed weapon, much like a great
Oh
sword.
yeah, for sure.
But I think your overall that little lip on the front of an N64 really allows for some interesting one-handed weaponry use.
You could even hold it like with your fingers in the cartridge slot, and
You
really
could do
get
that.
some
I
force.
didn't even think of that. Yeah, you could really change it up as far as what the N64 is capable of
Yeah.
as a, you know. As a
I think I
weapon.
gotta go with the N64. It just seems more versatile. in
Yeah, it
terms
has a
of-
lot of options.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I mean, if all you want is pure physical attack, like
Oh, it's gonna
can't
be the
beat-
Xbox.
Yeah,
no doubt.
You can't. Like a two-handed Xbox, beat the shit out of someone.
Yeah, for sure.
Like if you were fighting someone else who also had a console, right? So an N64 might be your best bet because it is versatile. But something speaks to the GameCube.
I think you can go for puncture wounds with the GameCube.
Yeah, with the sides as well as
Yeah.
you know it has a nice handle.
Yeah. I mean, I
Well,
don't know if I
certainly.
trust that handle. I think I'd have to like really hold that cube for dear life, or use it as a ranged weapon.
Yeah, you could throw it easily a throw weapon. But to be honest, the N64 cartridges, they'd make a pretty good ranged weapon as well.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing: you can always turn the what is that called? Not samurai stars, but what is that called?
Shurikens?
Huh?
Shurikens?
Yeah, shurikens. Yeah. So you can always go, and I think this is very interesting with any disc-based devices. You could use the discs as a shuriken if you properly cut them.
Yeah, for sure.
But really, like an N64 is just far as a blunt force object, you could really fuck some shit up.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Even the cartridge.
Fuck.
All around, it's a great weapon.
Oh yeah.
But I think we're forgetting some of the earlier consoles, and it disappoints me. For example, you could get a Sega Genesis Model 1 with all included, like the Sega CD and the Sega 32X, and that would give you 3 throws.
That's true. But throwing seems like a losing tactic. In many ways. Unless you really got some power behind that throw and you're hitting the right spot.
You know what? I
you're
feel like
disarming
if
yourself.
honestly, I feel like if you did with the GameCube, if you did a really hard You did a really, you know, like what would you call that? What's the word for it when you kind of spin around in a circle? So
Like a
shot
shot
put.
put?
If you, yeah. If you shot put the GameCube, you could probably decapitate someone.
I don't know about that.
Certainly, when you take cases into consideration, the N64 games really don't they're not as powerful as you would have thought. So if you take an early PS1 jewel case, the larger jewel case, I think you could fuck some people up with those.
Well, hey, if you're listening and you'd like to help us test an experiment, bring a GameCube in your skull, and we'll give it a shot. But
Yeah.
alright, well, that's all we've got. It's been an hour. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
Hooray.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah, hooray.
Goodbye.
Say hooray.
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 Goodbye.